7 o'clock, I'm going to call the Goldsboro City Council regular meeting to order of September 20th, 21. And at this time, I'll ask the clerk, I'll ask Archbishop Slater if he'll come and lead some prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, Mayhem, City Council. Let us pray together. Our Father and our God, we thank you for your kindness. We thank you for another day that you've given us a chance to get things right and to do things according to what the needs of this city is. Father, we thank you for where we're going as a great city such as Goldsboro. We thank you for every neighborhood, every community, every person that represents. But today, God, we thank you. We also thank you and take time to mention the name of our former mayor, Chuck Allen. Touch his family, touch his legacy. In the name of the Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Slater. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Mayor Ham,
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Present.
Councilmember Broadway,
Here.
Councilmember Matthews, Present. Councilmember Aycock.
Here. Okay, we're all here. At this time, I'm going to go into presentations, and I want to say that there have been many accolades spoken and written in the last several months about Mayor Chuck Allen, and there will be many more accolades, both written and spoken, of him. Tonight, we'll continue those accolades. We're honored to have with us tonight members of his family here tonight, and I would like to invite them to come forward at this time. Mayor Allen is such a part of this city. You see Chuck Allen wherever you go. And sometimes you hear his voices. I do. And he will continue to be a part of this city for a long time. We want to add one more accolade to those that has been spoken and written previously by, I want to read a proclamation designating tomorrow as Mayor Chuck Allen Day. I want to put it in big print here, so. Okay.
I understand.
Whereas the passing of Mayor Lawrence Coben Chuck Allen on September 17, 2021 is a significant loss to visitors and residents of the city he loves so much, and will always be remembered as an exceptional advocate for the city. And whereas Mayor Allen was a dedicated public servant who served the city of Goldsboro government for 21 years, during which he served as a council member for 7 years, mayor pro tem for 8 years, and in 2015, he was elected as mayor of the city of Goldsboro, where he served the last 6 years. And whereas Chuck served as the chairman of the Goldsboro Metropolitan Organization, appointee to the North Carolina Military Affairs Commission, member of the North Carolina League of Municipalities Board of Directors, board member of the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, and founding member of the Highway 70 Corridor Commission. And whereas, as a testament to his dedication and tremendous work, Chuck was awarded the Order of the Longleaf Pine by Governor Roy Cooper in May 2021, and a section of Highway 70 bypass was named in Mayor Allen's honor in June 2021. Whereas Chuck not only loved the city of Goldsboro, but he loved the airmen at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and would tell anyone that would listen about the best Air Force on planet Earth. And whereas Chuck was dedicated to the city in every way, went out of his way to help anyone in need, and he will be remembered as a kind and gentle soul that always had a quick sense of humor. And whereas Mayor Allen's tireless efforts to make Goldsboro a better place to live have left a legacy that will be remembered by many for the foreseeable future. And now, therefore, I, David Ham, Mayor of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September 21, 2021 as Mayor Chuck Allen Day in Goldsboro, North Carolina, in honor of his life, his legacy, and the great impact he made on the city of Goldsboro and the state of North Carolina. In witness, therefore, or wherefore, I happen to set my hand and fix the seal of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this 20th day of September 2021. Anyone want to say anything?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, yes. Okay, this time, if you would like to leave, or you can stay here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I tell you, that's pretty tense. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have minutes of the work session and regular meeting of September 7th. Motion to approve the minutes of the work session and the regular meeting of September 7th.
Motion to approve. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. At this time, we'll go in public hearings and planning. I believe you're on tap.
Good evening, members of the commission. It's good to be here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kenny Talton. I'm serving as the interim planning director for the city of Goldsboro. I just want to let you know on a lighter note that I'm filling in some big shoes, or should I say little shoes, of Miss Jennifer Collins. Today was her first day at her new job and our first day without her, so we're going to miss her and what she has contributed during her time as the planning director. So with that being said, I'd like to draw your attention to our first public hearing tonight. Is a public hearing, a special use permit by Mr. Christopher and Elandia Grant. Mr. and Ms. Grant, let me ask, Mr. and Ms. Grant, are you here tonight? So they are here tonight. If you have any questions from this public hearing, feel free to ask. But they are interested in operating a hookah bar in conjunction with a bar in our downtown historic district. So I'll go ahead and begin. The subject property is located on the north side of East Mulberry Street between Center Street and John Street. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the operation of a place of entertainment, a hookah lounge with ABC permits. Again, the property is located in the central business district with historic district overlay. The applicant has proposed to upfit an existing one-story concrete commercial building for the operation of a hookah lounge and bar. For those of you who do not know, a hookah is a water pipe that is used to smoke flavored tobacco. Since the site is located within the historic district, any exterior improvements to the building will be required to receive a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission. The property was previously occupied as a restaurant and more formally known as Adams Downtown Barbecue Restaurant. The applicant's floor plan indicates 14 hookah tables that will accommodate up to 56 occupants, a retail area, and a bar area which accommodates for 8 occupants for a grand total of 64 occupants. Restrooms, storage areas, and a hookah prep area are also included within the proposed place of entertainment. As you see on the agenda memo, the hours of operations are Monday through Friday, 6 to 12 a.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. The number of employees, the maximum amount would be 6. Our Unified Development Ordinance specifies that the required parking standards would not apply in the central business district, with an area bounded by the south side of Ash Street, the east side of George Street, the north side of Chestnut Street, and the west side of William Street. Since the subject property is located within this area, no off-street parking is required. There shall be no more than 2 such establishments with regards to places of entertainment, with the exception of microbreweries located per block, defined as the length of street between 2 intersections. If City Council were to approve the requested place of entertainment with ABC permits, no other place of entertainment would be permitted within the city block, as we have one place of entertainment currently existing at 110 East Mulberry Street, approved by City Council on August the 3rd, 2020, and known as Paint and Play. At this time, no action is necessary. Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council meeting at their October 4th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak for or against this proposal, this request? Anyone like to speak? There being no one to speak,
She's coming.
we move to the next item.
She's coming.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't need to be sworn in, so come forward. Okay, you have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, councilmen and councilwomen. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, I'd like to give condolences to the former mayor's family, as well as you all and the city of Goldsboro. Me and my brother and my cousin and I are interested in opening a hookah lounge in downtown Goldsboro, as was stated by the planning director. We're looking to solve a problem because at this moment, Goldsboro doesn't have a hookah lounge or something similar to that form of entertainment. So our solution is to bring a lounge to Goldsboro that will target military members, young professionals, and tourists. Why us? We are currently owned by a military veteran, Air Force, and another military veteran, Marine. Also, our lounge will be located in Goldsboro and will be open 7 days a week. We will offer military discounts and will also have weekly and monthly events and specials. Our lounge will offer a various amount of hookahs and various brands of wines and beers, including locally owned brands, We will also offer a socializing area and an area for networking. Also, our forecasted sales as of right now are 125 hookahs per week, which would amount to 500 hookahs per month. And we expect to grow our sales to 700 hookahs after the end of the first year. In addition, our forecasted beverage sales will be 250 beverages per week, 1,000 per month, and we plan to grow to 1,400 beverage sales by the end of our first year. Now Justin will come before you and he will kind of talk about our target market and sales marketing.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
Give me 1 second, please. All right, so our goal is to provide a welcoming, safe, and fun environment for local young professionals to enjoy local wines, beers, and premium tobacco. We want to emphasize there will be no marijuana, CBD, or any such, sales at our place of business. We plan on showing sports events, football games, basketball games, fights. We kind of wanted to have like a sports bar feel, but no liquor, just beer and wine. We also want to host paint and sip events as well as wine tastings, beer tastings, and for people like me that don't like wine or beer, cider tastings. So thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Any
I
council?
have a question, because I've experienced that, and it's an awesome proposal to bring to Goldsboro. Do you have a membership fee per se, like if you want to be a member of your lounge, that you could actually pay for a membership fee monthly?
Yes, sir. We actually have been experimenting with that.
Okay.
Chris actually already owns a hookah lounge in Hampton, Virginia.
Okay.
So we actually have been talking about that, maybe doing that. We want to probably do it there first and then see how it goes, and then
Gotcha.
probably push it out here if we get approved.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, the council will not take any action tonight. You've been advised that this will go before the planning commission and then it will come back to us. So if you have no other comments, the next agenda will be at the planning commission for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the public hearing is UDO 221 special use permit, and planning will handle that as well.
The next item we'll consider tonight revolves some text amendments to our UDO. We don't have any slide to represent this change. If you'll just follow me in our UDO agenda memo proposal here. So the City of Goldsboro first adopted its Unified Development Ordinance in 2005 and has amended it from time to time over the last 15 years. Most recently, the City Council approved a major amendment to the UDO at their June 7, 2021 meeting to comply with Chapter 160D of the North Carolina General Assembly's regulations. Currently, the proposed changes for consideration are minor text amendments to Article 5 within the UDA under Sections 5.4, 5.5, and 5.54 EE. Basically, that includes our table of permitted uses, our supplemental use regulations, and subsections community-sensitive heavy industrial uses and storage of treatment of hazardous and chemical materials. The proposed changes are to reflect the addition of chemical products manufacturing and processing, as well as storage or treatment of hazardous materials or chemical uses as a special use within the industrial and business park zoning district. This would include the East Park only. A notice of public hearing listing all the sections of the UDO under consideration for amendment was advertised for 2 consecutive weeks in the newspaper and posted on the city's website for review. Minor changes which are included for possible amendment include, once again, the table of permitted uses, which would allow both chemical product manufacturing, processing, and storage or treatment of hazardous materials or chemical uses as a special use in the industrial and business park zoning district. And 2, amending section 5.5 supplemental use regulations by adding to the subsections industrial and business park zoning district as a permitted district for the use of community sensitive heavy industrial uses and storage or treatment of hazardous chemical materials. Once again, the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council's meeting on October the 4th. And basically, in a nutshell, this involves the Wayne County Development Alliance has a potential industry that's interested in coming to Park East. And so one of their proposals is not part of a permitted use within the park. And so they are looking at a text amendment which would allow that use to be permitted in the future. So we have to change the table of permitted uses section and the supplemental use regulations to allow that use to occur. Any questions, feel free to let me know.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that ends the public hearings.
Mayor
I'm sorry,
Ham.
excuse me. We have one more, I'm sorry.
Mayor Ham,
We can,
Mayor, just give an opportunity if somebody wants to speak on that.
I'm sorry, yes.
And open the public hearing.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on the changes to the UDO that was just spoken to? Anyone that would like to speak for or against? Okay, if not, if there are any planning commission members present, you may be excused if you like. Okay. Glasses are fogging up here. Okay, so next thing on the public hearing is the 2020-2021 capers and our community relations. Ms. Felicia Williams will talk to that.
Good evening again. Have the public hearing for the 2020-2021 CAPER. This hearing is to allow residents the opportunity to comment on the City of Goldsboro's 2020-2021 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for entitlement grantees receiving Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership funds. For the program year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021, the City of Goldsboro received $351,069 in CDBG funds and $237,022 in home funds from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for fiscal year 2020-2021. The city was also awarded $206,554 in CDBG coronavirus funds for COVID-19 pandemic relief. The city is required to report annually on the performance of HUD entitlement funds. The CAPER reports on accomplishments and discusses necessary actions to improve performance based on the approved 2020-2021 annual action plan and approved 2020-2024 consolidated plan. A 15-day comment period began on September 15th, 2021 and will end on September 29th, 2021. A public hearing must be held during this public comment period. An advertisement was published in the Goldsboro News Argus on September 14th, 2021 relative to the holding of a public hearing and a 15-day review. A draft of the 2020-2021 CAPER has been prepared and made available at public access sites, including the City of Goldsboro Department of Community Relations, the Office of the City Clerk, in the new City Hall Annex, the Wayne County Public Library, and the Housing Authority of the City of Goldsboro. The draft of the report is also located on the city's website. The CAPER will be submitted to HUD September 30th, 2021. The final 2020-2021 CAPER will include all public comments received during this public comment period, as well as tonight's public hearing. Now we'll turn it over to Ms. Leah Henry, who has presented to the City Council before. We've worked with Ms. Leah Henry's of Two Rivers Development LLC out of Rocky Mount, and she's going to further present on the findings in the CAPER report.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Do I remember how to use this? doohickey? I guess we'll find out in a minute. So what I'll do is give you a brief overview of the findings in the CAPER. And I'll try not to go over things that we don't need to. Okay, is this what I'm supposed to do? Oh, here we are. All right. So the purpose of the CAPER, just so that everyone knows what the purpose of a CAPER is. Every year, the city is required to do two main documents and submit them to HUD. One is an annual action plan that says what the next year's work will be, and then the CAPER comes several months later to say, for the previous year's action plan, what was accomplished, what was not, and why. So the CAPER for the city of Goldsboro is due 90 days after the end of your fiscal year. So that ends June 30th, and so you have to submit this document by September 30th. And so you will be on time to submit on time. So I think I've gone over basically what we're doing here today, talking about what was done, what wasn't done, and also the CAPER requires some explanation of steps that will be taken to ensure that things that are in the action plan and in the multi-year consolidated plan that were not achieved, how you're going to achieve those goals. Nope. So the funds that were made available to the city for this past year were Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus. So I'll just go over very briefly what those funds are for. Community Development Block Grant funds support community development, economic development, development or renovation of community facilities, affordable housing, and many other activities that support economic activity and quality of life in your city. Home Investment Partnership funds are very specifically only to support the development or renovation of affordable housing and also to facilitate home ownership. And by facilitate home ownership, that could be providing down payment assistance or other kinds of loans to home buyers. So it doesn't necessarily go into construction directly, but it goes to a low to moderate income home purchaser. And then Community Development Block Grant funds were specific for the coronavirus pandemic. These are funds so that you have wide leeway to program to address economic impacts or other kind of quality of life impacts from the pandemic. As you're all, I'm sure, painfully aware, this has been a really challenging time for your local government and others because you just finished an entire fiscal year during a pandemic. And so we wanted to make sure that we highlight, before we go into what the accomplishments have been, that there were a few factors that impacted operations. One is just that the operations of the city were impacted in terms of allowing for some remote work, having to have all of your in-person meetings become virtual public meetings, which I think was actually fairly successful given what an odd thing that was, and decreased public access to city facilities, so decreased opportunities or desire for the public to walk in for information or services. Many partners stopped or modified their plans, which impacted how and when the city could undertake some of their activities. Most of the work that is done in community development is actually done with partners. So it's not the city staff that directly is building homes or things of that nature. There's partners in the field. So many of them had financial issues or other operational issues which caused some delays. And then, of course, the staff had to pivot to provide for more immediate needs, such as making sure that city staff and members of the public had PPE, had information about where to go for resources, and also had to pivot to put more support behind public health issues than is normally a part of the community development activities. So for this past year, for Community Development Block Grant, the amount that was made available was $351,137, and the amount that was expended was $226,387. That's almost entirely $150,000 that is pay down the loan on the W.A. Foster Community Center. So that's a recurring expense. And then 20% of that annual grant is eligible to be used for administrative uses, and that's what that was used for. So that pretty much adds up to that dollar amount. For the home funds, those funds were spent on 2 home buyer assistance grants, so 2 down payment assistance grants for home buyers, and also towards the construction of 2 units of housing. Under the CDBG CV, those funds came in pretty late, so it was $206,554, and $3,889 was spent on primarily masks and other protective materials. Urgent repair, which we did not discuss in the previous slide, is actually state funds, and these are funds that are granted to very low-income homeowners to make urgent repairs, things like leaking roofs or folks whose heat and air systems do not work. And so $100,000 was made available for the previous fiscal year, and out of that, $34,790 was spent, and that represents 4 homeowners.
I have a question
Okay.
before you advance. I know it sounds like a broken record because I'm always a stickler for the ownership aspect of it. Could, based on the data from this next year moving forward, could those numbers be shifted to elevate, say for example, the line item with home investment? Could that number be changed, or is that kind of set in stone, or how does that really work?
Are you saying the amount that is available or the amount that is expended?
Well, the available amount.
So in this instance, I'm trying to think I don't want to make it HUD complicated.
Yes, ma'am.
So this was the annual allocation.
Yes, ma'am.
There are actually monies that are still sitting in the city's account from previous years,
Frozen, right.
but what they're waiting for is to see whether a multifamily developer can build apartments. So that's kind of already in the works.
Yeah.
So theoretically, next year, out of that $237,000, you still have the opportunity to program 90% of it for homeownership, if that's what you all decided that you wanted to do. 10% of it is for admin.
Okay.
Most cities will use the whole 10%, and 90% is left. And so, to my understanding, and Ms. Williams can correct me if I'm wrong, the only existing older funds that are kind of earmarked for a project
Yes, ma'am.
are for that apartment complex.
Okay.
So moving forward, you could make those kind of changes if you wanted.
Thank you.
And that's the Tiffany Gardens complex.
Yes. So I think I finished that. And so, just to recap the accomplishments, the city did complete an analysis of impediments to fair housing choices, which is a very detailed, deep dive into fair housing issues and demographic issues around housing in your city. So that was completed during the fiscal year, and the annual action plan was completed and submitted on time to HUD. As I said, urgent repair, you made critical repairs to 4 homes. Homebuyer assistance provided assistance for 2 households. With the affordable housing development, the staff continued to work with the developer. There were some delays on the developer side just because of the pandemic, but they have been in conversation about what would be required to invest home funds in that project. The staff also investigated 11 housing complaints. So fair housing complaints do often come to the city first, and staff did talk with 11 residents. And then, of course, you continue to financially support W.A. Foster Community Center. So as Ms. Williams said, the CAPER will be open for public comment until September 29th. We will include all of the public comments that are received tonight or in writing, and all of that will be submitted to HUD by close of business on September 30th. And so we've also added here the phone number and the email address for persons who are interested in providing written comments, and that information is also available to people who visit the city's website. Are there any other questions?
Question.
So if there are no other questions from council members, then I think we can have a public hearing for the public to give any input. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing on the capers. Anyone that would like to speak on that subject, please come forward. State your name, please.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Phyllis Merritt James, 503 Cardinal Drive, Goldsboro, North Carolina. And first of all, I express my condolences to prior Mayor Chuck Allen's family and you all as well. I was very interested in the presentation that was just held regarding the CAPER report. Some of the questions that I had was whether or not, how can we facilitate a more timely allocation of those funds? I understand she stated that some of the funds came in late for the COVID associated funds with that. We have a lot of people in the community that were doing remote learning, that did not have hotspots, did not have access to a lot of not just masks, but sanitation supplies. So anytime I see that amount, see how we can facilitate and roll that out a little bit earlier to help, because we're still in the dense part of a rising pandemic. And I'm sure we have a lot of other needs in this community, and whatever we can do to help with that will be very beneficial for the community at large, and especially our housing people that don't have access to a lot of the supplies that they need. Again, it's all about safety. It's all about looking at the whole and whatever we can do to be expedient with what we do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else? There being none, we'll close the public hearing and move to the. I'm sorry, you got more?
I just have to wrap it up, Mayor Ham.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just returning to ask that City Council by motion after the public hearing accept the recommendation of staff to, one, direct staff to incorporate any comments received during the public hearing and the public comment period in the final 2020-2021 CAPER, and to, two, authorize staff to submit the final CAPER along with public comments and any city response to these comments after the required comment period has ended on or before the required submission date of September 30th, 2021.
So you need a motion and approval of that.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion to approve.
To incorporate comments from public hearing, any written public comments, and authorize the final submission of the report to HUD by September 30th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
No second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the comments, raise your hand. All opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, that does end the public hearings. We'll go into the public comment period at this time. If there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak on the subject that you would like to do so, please do so. Anyone that wants to come speak on public. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me through my mask.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jennifer. I'm the Executive Director of the Wayne County Museum, and I am here tonight to respectfully request that the museum's permit application to use city property, namely Willowdale Cemetery and an empty adjacent lot, for a ticketed event to be passed. We filed out all the required paperwork. We paid the fees for this permit. The cemetery, the police department have all approved it, and all of the details, the route in the cemetery to ensure no damage is done, our parking, our security, our porta potties, etc. And the next step will be for the city manager to approve it. So we wanted to tell you a little bit more about it. and clarify that although it is being held at the cemetery, it will be an educational event. It will be factual and historically accurate in every way. The event will be 5 blocks from the museum at the beautiful historic Willowdale Cemetery. 10 actor volunteers from local community theater groups will be telling the story of a diverse number of individuals buried there in the cemetery and sharing the historical significance that those characters have had in Goldsboro's history. The event will be a respectful one, honoring those buried in this gem of a cemetery. It will not involve the supernatural or any scary or creepy anything in nature. Our past Victorian mourning events, which have been historically accurate and fascinating, proved to be very, very popular. But we think that this particular sort of fundraiser can benefit the museum as well as travel and tourism in the area. Grave finding and cemetery tourism, if you're not aware, are growing market nationally, and sites like Find a Grave, Adopt a Grave, and many other genealogy sites are generating a newfound interest in locating one's ancestors' graves. We think exploring this locally untapped niche market opens all sorts of tourism and programming possibilities. We will be charging for tickets to the event to limit the numbers. Most of our programming, as you know, is free, and this year, even with our COVID restrictions, we have presented a lot of programs that we're very proud of. So the tour will be titled Tombstone and Tales, A History of Willowdale. It will be held Saturday, October 30th. The tickets will be range between $15 and $20, and all funds raised will benefit the museum. A reception and historical mourning displays will be at the museum before and after the tours. We hope you approve and think this event is exciting as we do. Thank you.
Jim, hold on a second. Anybody have
Yes,
any
sir.
questions? Has your request gone through the police department?
Yes, the police have approved. They sent it to DGDC, and our understanding is that the city manager will be the last person to sign off on it. And we have worked with the cemetery executive staff on planning a route that will be safe, that will not cause any damage whatsoever to the site, which is really a remarkable and wonderful asset to the city.
Staff have said it's supportable, sir, and I can approve it unless council would direct otherwise.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? Anyone else that would make public comment on any issue? There being none, I will close the public comment period, and we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items E through H. E through H.
Mayor Ham,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Yes.
Councilmember Broadway,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
Yes.
Councilmember Aycock.
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved. We have no items requiring individual action. City manager report.
Yes, sir. The North Carolina Freedom Festival went very well this weekend, thanks to the outstanding coordination between the City Council and employees, with our local nonprofit organizations, for-profit sponsors, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base partners, and event participants. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about how much really went on there. I'd like to thank the City Council for agreeing to host the event on city property and approving the investment of city employee time and effort to support the various activities, which was significant. A huge thank you to the city employees for planning and site setup to support the participants and the downtown cleanup. They made it look easy. Their experience in running events like this, it was an extraordinary effort. Our core values of professionalism, integrity, and customer service were clearly on display for the public to see. Additionally, I'd like to thank the Wayne County EMS support for the Saturday main events and the future POW-MIA Ruck March that'll happen next month. I want to highlight our very close relationship with Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and the local Air Force Sergeants Association. The Sergeants Association ran the Freedom Tree rededication for Captain Cleary and the family, who were clearly appreciative of that effort. They also ran the POW-MIA events to include a 24-hour downtown visual where 68 participants carried the flag of the POW-MIA up and down the street, or read 65,000 names of the 82,000 Americans who are MIA POWs, and I'd like to thank Councilwoman Matthews for helping me with that event. The Sergeants Association also coordinated the moving wall and the motorcycle escort at Wayne Community College and a veterans dinner with active duty personnel. Seymour Johnson Air Force Base provided static displays of Air Force equipment, and again I'd like to congratulate the Seymour Johnson personnel who received North Carolina Freedom Fest awards for their excellent military service and volunteer service. A big shout out to Doug McGrath, president of the North Carolina Freedom Fest Board of Directors, and the Board of Directors themselves for coordinating the sponsorship and support of those events that spanned several months. Many thanks to the North Carolina Freedom Fest volunteers who worked closely with our city employees to make the events on Saturday go very smoothly. Lastly, thank you to the music acts, the Kids Zone vendor, the food vendors, the Wings of Wayne competitors, car and bike enthusiasts, and everyone who attended the event, making it a family-friendly event that honored our military and first responder heroes and enhanced our quality of life for the residents and visitors. It was truly a fantastic event. I very much appreciate everybody's efforts, and I look forward to doing it again sometime soon. I'd like to mention the District 5 applications that we received. So we received 2 applications, both of which were verified to be District 5 residents, and that was Charles P. Gaylor IV and Phyllis A. Merritt James. So in accordance with the adopted procedures, presentations will be given at the next council meeting on October 4th, and the council will consider appointment on October 18th. Lastly, I'd like to thank you very much, Mayor Ham and Governor Cooper, for allowing us to put the flags at half-mast for Mayor Allen until sunset tomorrow night. The city employees will be taking we're going to close our offices at 3 o'clock tomorrow so they can attend the celebration of life at the family farm. So this is truly a huge loss for the city. We so much appreciate everything Mayor Allen has done for us. Personally, he was a great mentor to me here, and he will truly be missed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council members, I'll start with Councilman Aycock.
We have a great loss. There'll be some shoes that'll be hard to fill, and he'll be missed.
Okay, sir. Ms. Matthews?
No comment.
Sir.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people to continue to be proactive in their efforts to combat and eventually reverse the climbing numbers of COVID-19 with the more contagious Delta variant, especially with an approaching flu season. Medical facilities are already overwhelmed with patients, and the disingenuous reporting status seen throughout the county from the school as well as other agencies contribute to this spike. As I've stated before, sweeping this thing under the rug for the state of normalcy should not put any lives at risk, but I do encourage everyone to not solely think about yourself, but consider the well-being of your neighbor. In closing, I want to also extend the prayers to my family, to the Allen family. That's all I have.
Mr. Barway?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, as Councilman Aycock said, I think the city, we lost Chuck Allen, we lost a true servant, we lost somebody that cared about this town, and somebody who worked many times when nobody else knew the things he was doing, especially at the state and national level. He did a lot of good things and very few accolades. And the last thing is I'd like to congratulate Doug McGrath and the Freedom Festival, because those of us who have been here for a while remember the old derelibration celebrations we had years ago, and it was just like that. And it brought back good memories, and a lot of people did a lot of hard work, and think they need to be recognized for the work that they did. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. I was going to speak to the Freedom Fest at length, but the manager sort of stole my remarks there, but I knew it was coming, so. But I do want to add a couple of things. This event could not have been held had it not been for the collaborative effort on the part of our city departments that work together tirelessly to support that project. Our fire department, our police department, our parks and recreation, our downtown development put in many volunteer hours for this event. And I think the success of it is truly demonstrated by the efforts of not only our staff, but a lot of civilian and as has been spoken of volunteers from Seymour Johnson. It was quite an event there. So, and I want to also mention that you know, this past weekend was a very trying time for some of us who were trying to support the Freedom Fest, but was also got the terrible news about Mayor Allen's passing. And I want to commend Laura Getz especially for her tireless efforts. She was supporting both of these events, working way past hours, normal hours. Also the fact that we had applicants coming in, being opened up for the District 5. So Laura was going to take off this morning, and for a bit of rest, I called her yesterday. I said, we need a couple more things. So she, without question, came in and did it. So Laura, I want to thank you for your efforts. I'm not going to say anything else about Mayor Allen. I've talked about him now for 4 days in a row almost, and so I'll see a lot of you tomorrow at the remembrance ceremony. If we have no, sorry.
Madam Clerk, wasn't sure if we recorded who made the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda items.
Okay.
So I made the motion.
Is there a second?
No, second.
Any discussion?
You need roll call.
All in favor of approving?
Roll call.
She has to do a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call.
Mayor Ham?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak?
Yes.
Councilmember Broadway?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews? Yes. Councilmember Aycock?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, unless anyone else has anything to say, I'll call the meeting adjourned.